22nd November, 1:14 p.m. Supreme Court of Judicature, Courtroom 2. Well, I understand you are the judicial assistant to the defense. But why this sudden ingress into my courtroom? Ha! A judicial assistant? And a woman, no less! The rules state that females are not permitted into this court of law other than to testify. Yes, I fully understand. I ask only for 5 minutes of time. I have some vital evidence that I must hand over to the defense. Ha! You're too late, little girl. This trial has already been concluded. 5 minutes. I will not allow a moment more. But, Your Excellency! I am most grateful. Who exactly are you? I'm sorry, there's no time. Please simply accept this for now. What is it? A report about something? Written in English? It's Giselle Brett's research. The Englishwoman's? After the trial resumed earlier, I hurried back to the university. I went to Dr. Wilson's laboratory in the medical faculty and borrowed this paper. Oh yes, that's right. Miss Brett was studying under the professor, wasn't she? So, does this research, whatever it is, have something to do with the case? I'm afraid I don't know. I haven't been able to listen to the proceedings of the trial myself. Oh, no, of course not. Special characteristics of pure air and its effects on human subjects. Interesting. Pure air? What's that? I've never heard that word before. Time's up! The prosecution's demands the immediate removal of this female trespasser from the courtroom. There was too little time for me to read it in detail, but I've summarized what I could on a note just inside the cover. If you think it could be valuable, please cast your eye over it. This is wonderful, thank you. Giselle's report has been entered into the court record. A report detailing an unknown poison that Miss Brett has been researching during her time at Hume University. Goodbye then, and good luck. He vanishes. You have had long enough, counsel. We cannot detain our English guest any longer. I ask the prosecution and the defense now one last time. Does either side have any further evidence to present to the court? I presume not, but the prosecution has made its case convincingly enough already. Nothing more to add, Your Excellency. Inosuke, we're out of options here. This really is our very last chance. Yes, I know. Your Excellency, the defense does have new evidence. That look. The unyielding stare of a true Japanese warrior. Well, Miss Brett? Yes, Your Excellency? If you wouldn't mind, perhaps you could grace us with your presence a little longer. It's a delightful invitation, but I'm afraid it's not so very long until tea time. I have to Forgive me, Miss Brett. It seems I wasn't clear. I realized it was phrased as a question. However, I must ask you to treat that as an order. I've said it many times before, but the Japanese language makes no sense. My apologies, dear lady. So, counsel, what is this new evidence that demands the court's attention? Poison made from the bark of certain trees in the jungle of South America. The hunters of the region have used it since ancient times to incapacitate their prey. Effects: instant paralysis of the entire body and subsequent death, even in minute doses. Route of entry. The above-mentioned effects occur when the poison enters the body through a wound, such as that inflicted by a blowpipe dart. Due to its ability to render the human body paralytic, it is believed that the toxin could have applications as an anesthetic. However, a solution for the respiratory arrest caused as a result of the full body paralysis must be found first, or patients would die of suffocation.
Yes!
Miss Giselle Brett, we understand you were studying under Dr. Wilson at Yuma University doing research. Research, by sheer coincidence perhaps, into a deadly poison. What? Poison? Where are you going with this, Counsel? A toxin known as Curair, Your Excellency. Even the slightest amount of this deadly poison entering the body leads to instant death.
Objection!
What complete and utter nonsense! Curair, you say? I've never even heard of it. You wouldn't have done. What do you mean? I mean that you wouldn't have heard of Curair before for one very simple reason. It doesn't exist in our country. It doesn't exist? Correct? Which means, no matter what tests the police can do for toxins, they'd never identify Curair. Why? Because there is no test available here that can identify the presence of this highly deadly poison. What? Order, order, order! Counsel, does this deadly poison truly exist? According to this report offered by the visiting research student from England, Curair has long been used by the tribespeople of South America as a poison to lace their arrows. It seems that it's reasonably well known among European doctors and scientists to lace their arrows? The report states that it is produced from the extract of a tree that grows deep in the Amazonian jungle. And it was first brought back to Europe at the turn of the century by explorers. It claims that animals shot by arrows laced with Curair suffer instant death. Doesn't that about sum it up, Miss Brett?
Objection!
Trumpery! These aspersions are utter trumpery! To start with, if the victim had been administered some of this so-called deadly poison, he would have been squirming and writhing in pain, and the other diners would have surely noticed. That's true. What do you say to that, Inspector? Obviously, I would have noticed a disturbance like that. I don't remember anything like that either. I didn't notice the professor being in any kind of pain. According to this, however, it's the other way around. What do you mean, the other way around? The very fact that the victim didn't show any visible signs of distress is evidence that Curair was used. Explain yourself, Counsel. The moment this toxin enters a person's system, it causes instant paralysis. In other words, afflicted victims lose all strength and are completely unable to move. Even if they were in total agony, there would be no visible sign of pain at all. How terrible! Obviously, if a man lost all strength in his muscles, he'd collapse on the floor. But with a chair under him for support, as Dr. Wilson did, the effects could go largely unnoticed. But I don't know, Kazuma. That's just paralysis. I thought the poison caused instant death. full explanation is extremely unpleasant. The poison causes immediate paralysis and is said leaving the victim unable to move. But after a short time, the paralysis is so severe, it causes the muscles that control respiration to fail. Respiration. In other words, the actual cause of death is suffocation. And all the while, the victim is conscious and aware, just unable to move. That's hideous. To the observer, it would look almost like the victim was slipping peacefully into an endless sleep. But for the victim himself, his final moments would be a living hell. That is the true nature of this deadly cure poison. Are you suggesting that this bottle, Counsel, actually contains this terrifying poison?
Objection!
This is all very convenient, isn't it? A hitherto unknown poison for which there is no means of testing. What a happy tale for the defense. Ahem, if I may. All these facts. You think you're so clever. It is you who must be taught. Oh, of course. Dear lady. So, this is how you Japanese behave, is it? What? You steal another's honest hard work and then announce the results as if you discovered them? I'm appalled. What a loathsome act. Well, Miss Brett, the feeling is mutual. Whatever do you mean? Capitalizing on the unfortunate circumstances of an innocent man to frame him for a heinous crime. That really is a loathsome act. Wouldn't you agree?
Objection!
Enough of this. I, for one, refuse to accept it. The idea of some poison that doesn't even exist in the great empire of Japan is breaking the rules. Ha! 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 What's so funny? Oh, excuse me, Your Excellency. Yes, Miss Brett? May I borrow that bottle for a moment, please? Well, yes, I don't see, why not? Don't get too big for your boots, you insignificant island boys. Sorry? To an Englishwoman such as myself, this whole affair is a farcical comedy. You little police games and the foolish courtroom antics, it's laughable, really. But I'm getting bored of it all now. It's time for the games to end. Cheers. Wait! What are you doing? No sparkle left at all. How appropriate for this shabby affair. I have to say I'm loving her character in all this, even though the solution to this is, well, as obvious as a wheat field in the summer sun. Goodness. Whatever is the matter, you all look quite stunned. So, no cure. The bottle was clean. Is that what you're saying? You look quite incredulous, little boy, but of course, that's the simple truth. Thank you for presenting the findings of my research so concisely here in this grand venue. Most kind. Grr. Thank you, waiter. Now then, Your Excellency. Yes, Miss Brett. I should like to be excused now, please. I think I've given more than enough of my time for the furtherance of friendship between our countries. Ah, yes, dear lady. We are most gratified with all the assistance you have given. This doesn't make sense. There had to have been poison in that bottle. So how did she? How did she swallow a whole glass and live to tell the tale? I don't understand it. Well, I suppose if nothing else, this little Far Eastern charade will make for interesting conversation at the next party I attend in London. There has to be poison in that bottle, doesn't there? But there can't have been, because otherwise she would have keeled over dead. Come on, Yunosuke. We have all the clues now. That bottle of water contains no poison. As I thought, there is no poison in that bottle. What? Why, Ryunosuke? Isn't it obvious? If there was poison in there, she'd be dead by now. Sometimes your unadulterated naivety really astounds me. But sometimes it's in need of a good staining, until it's as dark as your uniform and the ways of the world. Oh, is that what this color is supposed to represent? That was the guiltless ending to a promising line of inquiry, Counsel, for which you will be penalized. This whole trial is poisoned. There has to have been poison in that bottle, doesn't there? But there can't have been, because otherwise she would have keeled over dead. Come on, Yunosuke. We have all the clues now. That bottle of water contains poison? The culprit did put cure air poison in Dr. Wilson's carbonated water. The defense refuses to change its position. You're serious?
Objection!
Fool! Are you blind? There's no possible way the bottle could contain poison. I mean, we just saw Miss Brett drinking the water from it? That's right. Which rather complicates your argument, I think. And I believe that complication can be explained. How exactly? I need to think through all the things that don't quite add up here, one by one. I'm sure the answer is in the evidence we have in the courtroom somewhere. It has to be. Very well. If the defense truly intends to assert this claim, then I must ask you to support the assertion with evidence. What explains how the witness was able to consume this supposedly poisoned water unscathed? This is the only thing that comes to mind. It has to do something with the glass.
Yes!
It seems the defense, or should I say, the wretched accused, is the only real source of complication in this case. You'll have to think hard on that, defendant. Her taking the glass has to do something with the case. You're making this complication more complicated than it needs to be. Alright, I'll do my best to find an answer that fits the facts. If the defense, the wretched accused, truly intends to assert this claim, then I must ask you to support the assertion with evidence. What explains how the witness was able to consume this supposedly poisoned water unscathed? The above-mentioned effect occurs when the poison enters the body through a wound, such as that inflicted by a blowpipe dart.
Yes!
The answer to this riddle is right here in Miss Brett's own research report.
Objection!
That's not a valid explanation. No? After all, You don't speak English! That report is utter gibberish! This impudent young scoundrel is trying to ridicule the court, Your Excellency! I'm not trying to ridicule anyone, honest. I'm just reading Susato-san's notes. I concur. This report is too extensive to be considered in its entirety by the court. You will direct us to the pertinent section, Counsel. Which section of the report reveals the alleged answer to the riddle? We've been hearing a lot about this cure poison. And it's left me curious about something. Oh, Counsel? Well, it sounds as though the indigenous hunters have been using this poison for years and years. To lace the heads of the arrows that they shoot at whatever their prey they're hunting. So we've been led to believe, yes. And the point of hunting is to catch prey to eat. Get to the point, please. But if they were to use these laced arrows, doesn't that mean there would be traces of poison left in the prey the hunters were going to eat? Yes, good point. So surely the hunters wouldn't want to eat their prey, would they? Because then they'd be eating poison. Goodness gracious, Counsel! No, that would be madness! But I actually found the answer to the conundrum in this research paper here. Under special characteristics it says, the poison starts to work after entering the body through a wound. Through a wound, you say? I see, that makes sense. Yes, the mention of that particular detail seemed a little strange to me, though. But it all makes sense when you interpret what's written like this. When Curer enters the body through an open wound, it has terrifying poisonous effects. However, when it enters the body via the mouth, it has no poisonous effects whatsoever. What? Miss Brett, you authored this research. You knew Curer's special characteristics. And you knew that you could make a spectacle of drinking that water without any danger to yourself. You meddling little... Wow! Rapscallion! That thing's alive! Well, Yunosuke, it turns out... you're an even better lawyer than I thought you'd be. Really? Me? A lawyer?
Objection!
All this poison talk is fascinating, I'm sure, but I fail to see how it's possible... So, the ill-bred little puppy has a new toy to play with. Some facts he read in a book. But I'm afraid knowledge doesn't suit you, little boy. It only makes you look silly. What are you trying to say? Your schoolboyish logic has a fatal flaw. Schoolboyish? Flaw? As even your brain has managed to deduce Curer is safe to ingest. It seems likely that its effects are neutralized by the acidic nature of the gastric succus. Oh yes, well, of course! Gastric suckers? What are they? So, if this lethal poison is completely harmless when drunk, the professor wouldn't have died when he swallowed it, would he? Ah! That's right! Good gracious! That's basic science. Science that even a schoolboy should be able to understand, no? Order, order in court, order! The logic holds. If the lady and the professor drank the same poison, they would be affected in the same way. Are you trying to suggest... Yes, this Curer poison is completely irrelevant to the case on trial! That's right. Surely even a little cockroach like you could understand something as simple as that. What is this? Welling up inside me. I've never felt like this before. It's a sort of conviction to break all the discrepancies. It's so intense, almost rage-like. And more than anything else, it's an animalistic desire to take down my prey.